Hello everyone, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go make, at least showcase you guys a Pauper deck profile, because I've been having a lot of fun with this format. Like even way back when it was like kind of announced that Japan was getting like the old regulation battles, and now that all this has kind of popped up, I've been really more interested in it. And I've been playing a lot of Red in this format just because I think it's really fun and really has a lot of good tools to be really aggressive while also controlling the board a little bit. And I think it's, again, really solid overall just because it just has a lot of, again, as I mentioned, tools. And with this, I think it's just a good time to just straight up move into the deck profile. But before that, let's just, like, comment, subscribe. If you do like my videos, obviously stay tuned for my future ones. I also do have a Discord if you want to join that, link down below. But now let's actually get into the deck profile. Now let's go over the Digi-Eggs, and I like to run 4 of the BT14 Koromon. I think this one definitely is a solid egg for Pauper just because, when a security stack is removed, draw 1, and I think it's easier to trigger a heal because the stack isn't going to die as often, I feel, so this one is still a pretty solid egg overall. And of course, when I get to the other recommended cards, I'll obviously try to list some other eggs, but this one's been working fine with me. Now let's go on to rookies. I won 4 of the EX6 Zubamon, mainly for the Inherit, the plus 2k. I haven't really used the main effect all that much because I didn't really think I needed the plus 4k all that much. And the draw 1 effect on your turn also I haven't used all that much, but I can imagine since I do want this at 4, I could probably get some extra draws off this, but I mostly use it for the generic plus 2k Inherit. And the Agumon from Star Deck 7 is also a really nice card just because, again, similar effect to give a DP buff when you attack a player, which is pretty common for the most part, so I like to run at 3. Then we also run 2 of the EX1 Biomon. When attacking, if you attack a player, draw 1, which is pretty nice for draw power. I like it, and that's about it. And I also like to run 2 of the PT18 Penguinmon. I wasn't considering this at first, but I kind of thought about it. Sometimes I do want to swing at like my level 5 stage because I do want some sec plus 1 inherits, so I figured maybe this could be kind of nice to swing, get some damage on my level 5s, and that way I could, swing safely with jamming. The 1 cost Evo isn't the worst in Pauper format because everything is a lot slower, so I think it's just fine overall. Now let's go into the level 4s, and one of the level 4s I run is Gigasmon at 1. Mainly for the rush effect. I think it's kind of nice just because, say, if you just play out something and you digivolve into this, you immediately get to swing with that just for an extra check if your opponent just happens to give you a ton of memory. And honestly, like, you could remove this for like a cheaper hybrid. I just thought the rush effect seemed kind of neat, so I thought maybe I want to work with that. And Inherit to delay 3k or less can be kind of nice if you just happen to get this in the stack, but for the most part I usually just use this as like a like hybrid for game more or less. Then I also want 4 of the security plus 1 Greymon, simply just for that alone, just because I want to get extra damage, and it's a pretty good card just for that. Then I also want 4 of the Zuba Eaglemon from EX6, similar reason to why I want this guy for the Inherit, but I can't imagine if you can get the your turn effect off, you can start doing like board clearing at the level 4 stage, so I thought that'd be pretty nice. Then I also want 1 of XVmon from BT20, because it can be kind of nice to delete level 3s and stuff, along with the fact that I get another plus 2k Inherit, so that's again really nice for that. And it's also full cost, so it's pretty cheap, so if you just want to outslam this for 4, it's not that bad. So let's go with the level 5s, and I like to run 2 of the BT4 Dramon, because again, similar to the Greymon, pretty much just for the plus 1 security check, so you can deal extra damage, and that's again really good. Then I also won 2 of the Triceramon from BT14, mainly just for the 2 cost Evo, and it actually has raid, so this can be kind of nice just to kind of clear bodies sometimes, and especially if you again have like the Zuba Eagle or the Zubamon under, so that way you can get extra DP, so it can make the raiding stuff even easier, but overall, just pretty solid card. I also won 2 of the EX1 Garudamon, because the way attacking to gain memory if you attack a player can be kind of nice, just because it can help you like control the board, since there's not a lot of amazing memory cells in Pauper. Like they all feel like Owen from BT18 and also Kari from BT8 are some notable ones in my mind, but again, this can help you control the memory gauge a little bit and also help you like kind of like do a little bit more combos with your other cards, so overall pretty solid card. And I also want 2 one-offs, the Megatron one from BT14, mainly just because, the one attacking delete 5k can be kind of nice, and the Wing Digimon from BT20 to delete a 6k on player 1 Digivolving, and it's another +1 security attack modifier, so it's also pretty good in that aspect. If you wanted to, you could maybe swap these two around, like maybe have 2 Megatron for extra deletion, or maybe just have this for extra deletion on board for to a Digivolve, because it is 1k overall, but overall I just don't mind this ratio, and it's fine. It's been working out for me. Now let's go over the megas, and if you're somewhat familiar with Pauper, you're probably already familiar yourself with Digimon. It's a really good mega for the format, simply just because end of your turn, if your opponent has full memory, you delete one thing with lowest play or lowest DP, and end of opponent's turn, if you have full or less memory, you delete something with highest play cost. So it's a really good control tool, and usually, depending on your memory, if your end of turn might not work, but overall it's still really good, because I actually like planning out is Digimon can be useful in this situation. It's really fun. It's just amazing in just what it does, and again, you could just sit on this and kind of just be really annoying, and hell, you can even hard slam this on the board and just get its end of turn way easier. It's just really funny to mess around with, and I like to see 3 of it just because it's a really good control tool in that aspect. Then we also run, at least in my case, 1 Phoenixmon from EX1 just because it's a +1 security attack, and also when attacking, if you attack a player, draw 2, so obviously just a nice way to fill up your hand, along with the fact that you can just deal extra damage. And I don't really want to run a lot of this just because it's 11k, and I also do get a bunch of +1 security attack in other ways, but even then, still useful card for the draw effect. Then I also run BT14 Dino Xmon. I absolutely love this card ever since I saw it BT14, because in regular format it's not the greatest card, but in Pauper it's really good. It kind of shuts down a lot, because if your opponent has 1 more memory, they can't play 6k or less, which again can be pretty tough, because they pretty much have to hard slam a bunch of their ultimates if they want to play stuff. All of these guys are 7k or higher. I think they'll probably all some 6k ultimates, but again, this is really nasty. It also has blitz, so that's really good too, and this thing almost ain't dying on your opponent's turn, because when you blitz, you get +4k, so that's 5k immediately. So again, really solid card, and I again want to add 3. Now let's get into the tamers and options, and for tamers I like to run 4 Owen, just because again it's a pretty good memory setup, because when a security cycle is removed, you get to delete 4k or less. So obviously if your opponent managed to rookie rush you, you can at least kind of delete stuff with that. I only went FO just because again I also do at least one hybrid, so again seeing this quite a bit is kind of nice, and even then if you see multiple, it's not the worst, just because of the fact that again you could just delete a lot of 4k or less, so that's pretty nice. I also want 2 Jerry, and trust me, Jerry I think is a really phenomenal card, mainly for the opponent's turn effect to draw 1 when your opponent's Digimon attacks, and I just like stuffing Jerry in a lot of different decks just because of the draw 1 if the deck does lack some draw power, and it would be a little bit better in a more Leomon focused build, because there are some lower really Leomons that I think can be kind of fun, because you actually can get the on play. I never get the on play to go live, but again overall pretty solid card, and I just like drawing, because this is a red deck, there's not a whole lot of draw in here, so seeing Jerry is kind of useful. Now some options, I went full Gaia Force just because it's a good deletion option, because again there's not a whole lot of really big delete. I do run again Candra on, but sometimes I just want to just remove a guy no matter what, so that's pretty nice, and if this gets hit in security, even better. I also do want 2 Crimson Blazes from PT8, just because there are some decks that can play by effect, and sometimes you just don't want them to do that, and again another deletion, so that's pretty helpful. And a recent addition for me anyways was Flame Memory Boost, mainly just to get an extra check off, and again this only really works say if you have Owen out and you want to get the extra damage in, because it does cost 3 to do so, so that kind of sucks, but overall pretty solid, and you could save this for later turn to get 2 memory to help pop off a little bit easier. They also want 1 Lightning Joust. This can come up in some situations when your opponent is just doing extra damage, so that way you can obviously just try to get back in the game a little bit easier, because that way just getting more damage out on your own is also pretty good as well. And I only really want to add 1 because it's not super useful all the time, because sometimes you just are really aggressive early on, so you don't really need it as much, but still a decent card overall. Now let's go over some recommended cards, and some Digi-Eggs I think can be pretty nice. So Demi Miramon from BT6, where when you attack a player, you get plus 1k, which I think is pretty decent, just because, again, bigger number. Along with BT7 Digimon, where if you have a Tamer in play, this guy gets plus 1k, which is also pretty nice, easy, generic buff to get. Then we also have BT8 Digimon, where if this Digimon has 6k or more, draw 1 when attacking, which is another really good drawing. If you don't want to use the BT14 Digimon, you can also use this. I think it's pretty fine overall. Then we also have Digimon from BT17. By paying 1, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 3k or less, so you can kind of manipulate the memory gauge like this, so that way you could pay 1 to kind of set them at a low memory count. So I think this can be kind of nice, along with, again, it has the deletion stuff, so that can be kind of nice. Some rookies I think could be good is Bearmon from BT11. You're told when this Digimon attack target switch, it gets plus 3k. The only reason I bring it up is I think, depending on like your local senior level or depending on what you expect to face, you might face a lot of blocker decks, so this can be kind of nice, so that way you can always guarantee you can probably beat over them, which I think is nice, so there's that. Then we also have Agumon from EX4. If you have a yellow or red Tamer, gain 1, which I think can be nice. And if you do want the Komon, that's a free evo, along with the inherit to draw 1 when one of your red or yellow Tamers becomes suspended. And I think that'd be good, nice, just because you do also want Owen, so Owen is a way to trigger the effect, which is really good. Then you also have Gizamon from BT15. The when attacking delay at 3k or less, and this can again just be another generic rookie if you want to have more deletion. And of course there are floodgates in red that you could run as well, but again that's really matchup dependent, so if you want to run floodgates, go ahead, but I think these rookies are other really good options as well. Now let's go into the level 4s, and obviously you could run some of the other hybrids, that being BT7 Born Greymon and BT4 Agunimon. This one is just again mostly just hype for game for the most part, but I can imagine you running a lot of Born Greymon to have other deletion effects, because if this card is hybrid or Takuya in source, it can delete a 4 cost or less, so I can imagine maybe you can have a small hybrid engine here where you can just run a bunch of this guy and this guy to get numerous deletions, so that's kind of nice. But of course I imagine for the most part you'd rather just use this as hybrid for game. Then you could also run Geo Greymon, the one from Star Trek 7, the security effect that lets it play it out, and on play delete a 4k or less. I think this can be kind of nice just because it gives you an extra body, so that's always pretty good. Then we also have Bearmon from BT11 as well. It has raid, and when this Digimon attack target switch, get a plus 3k, so again similar to the Bearmon, just get with the big numbers if your opponent blocks, which is really nice. And again, this also has raid, so it can be pretty good just to remove smaller bodies, and you could run more raid targets to get the inherit life, so that's good as well. Then we also have Geo Greymon from EX4, pretty much same reason to why you might want to run the EX4 Agumon, and that's pretty much the only reason there. Then we also have Grumblemon from BT18, another hybrid, and this one does have another deletion effect, so that's another reason why you might want to run this, and it's also 2 cost in comparison to the Gigasmon. Then we also have Kogemon, the green one and the blue one, and they can have different purposes. This one has jamming, so I think it can be kind of nicer, so you can swing in with your level 4 and get a free check-in pretty much, and it's another plus 2k inherit. And then we also have the green one, where this one has raid, so you can also do some damage early on with it, so you can do some board clearing, so I think that can be kind of nice. Depending on which one you like more, you could run. The only downside is that it's 3 costs and 2 costs of a Dracomon, and there aren't a lot of Dracomons you can use in the thing, just because a lot of them are in blue, and I think the EX3 one is in green. And I know you did get the BD20 that's red, but I can't imagine you playing that at all, because I'm pretty sure it's a rare anyways, so sadly you can't really do that. But again, these two are just decent options just for their keywords and DP buffs. Now let's get into the level 5s, and you could run the Volcanomon from Star Trek 12. It has blocker and security +1 as an inherit, and the main reason I include this just because again it's a level 5 blocker that has a pretty good inherit, and again dealing more damage, which is nice. I figured you might want to run this. Of course you can run other lower level blocks as well. I just thought that since it's 9k, it's pretty big. Then you could also run the Rise Greymon from Star Trek 7 as well, the on-play delay of 5k or less, and this is kind of decent just because you can Hall Slam it. If they don't remove it, it's pretty much a free way, easy way to get into Kanjumon or Dino Xmon pretty early on, so I think that's pretty nice overall. Then we also grab Leomon from BD11. I think the BD11 line for Moldsmon is pretty good overall, just because again they're inherits, and this also does have raid, so that's also helpful. And again, the inherit is when an attack target is switched, trash top card. So again, if you are going to a blocker heavy deck, then this is a really useful card just for extra damage. Then we also have the Ground Digimon from the BT20 set, which is also nice. It's a kind of nice stun tool, and the inherit is also kind of nice to trash more security, so that's always good. And again, this and the Slayer Digimon, the only downside is that it's almost always going to cost full unless you do again one of these guys, so that kind of sucks, but still pretty useful card. Then we also have Megatron for BT9. This is on Digivolve, delete one of your opponents with Digimon or Tamers with 3 costs or less, which is pretty good. I can't imagine the inherit would be live all that much because it's only works with Machine and Dragonkin, but overall I think deleting Tamers every once in a while can be nice. I don't think there would be a lot of 3 cost Tamers, but there will definitely some I know of that, but it can be useful depending on the matchup. Then we also have some Megas. I think the Avenged Digimon could be kind of decent, just because depending on your matchup you might want to have a lot of options in trash, so that way you could like play this and pretty much just have a free 11k body, which is kind of nice. And I think it just be able to also delete an 8k potentially is also really solid as well. Then we also have Volcano Digimon from BT2, which is also nice. It can kind of stop Rookie Rush, along with the fact that the native +1 security CAC I imagine can be pretty decent too, so that way you can just deal extra damage. And again, it's just pretty much a slightly weaker Crimson Blaze in a way, because it's just delete a 4k and then it doesn't have the other part of Crimson Blaze, but overall you could maybe just run this as like a 1F if you're facing a lot of Rookie Rush. Now let's go on to some options. I think Atomic Megaloblaster can be kind of nice, just because it can kind of clear up wide boards, because you choose any of your opponent's Digimon whose DP add up to 10k or less and delete them. And the only reason I'm suggesting this over the Megaloblaster from the Star deck is just because it can pretty much kill more stuff. So I think the 6 cost is kind of fair. Also, Rally Walker could be a little bit funny, because you can place a 1 red level 4 lower from underneath one of your Digimon's spawn sources, and then you draw 2. So if you want one more Digimon, you obviously could just stack up on inherits on 1 stack and maybe just do a whole lot of damage if you are able to get numerous security +1, so that could be a funny option. Then we also have the offensive plugin A from EX2, which is another damage dealer option, which is pretty nice. Then we also have Fireball, which is either delete 3k or draw 2, and I think obviously it's kind of likely you might break sometimes, so having this as a 2 cost option is nice. Then we also have Red Card from BT19, which is also pretty nice, because until your end of your monster, you're unaffected by option cards and its DP can't be reduced. So if you're facing a lot of like Secon or like just stuff that might add a random option or 2, it's safe. You could also run a lot of the other plugins too. I imagine they can be pretty decent, but I think these 2 plugins definitely do help just be able to kind of stay protected a little bit, and also kind of just deal more damage. Then we also do have Gravity Crush to potentially gain 2 memory randomly, and this could maybe help. I don't know if it would help Candramon all that much, because I imagine when you do end of turn you might pass on Candramon's end of turn effect, but maybe it works, I don't know. But even then, Gravity Crush is still a fine option just to maybe help you extend certain stuff as well, so it might be relevant in some cases. And that pretty much is my most recent Red Pauper deck, and honestly I think it's really fun. It's really aggressive with a lot of like just security attack modifiers. It gets really big on my turn, so I can easily help beat over stuff, and it has a little bit of control. It just overall it just has a little bit of everything. Big DP numbers, extra damage, be able to board clear a little bit, just overall really solid mega lineup. And honestly, going into this, I wasn't really expecting to like red a lot. I was kind of hoping maybe green or blue would be my favorite, because usually those 2 colors I do end up like playing a lot in regular format. But honestly, just red is just fun, has a lot of flexibility with what you want to do, and can have a various amount of like flexibility with what you want to do. It's really fun. And if you do like the deck list, let me know. Maybe like throw around some options you might like around, let me know in the comments below. It really does mean a lot if you interact with my videos. But again, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys later, and again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.